Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. From Software has once again delivered a masterpiece to all of us lucky gamers. This time trading in the swords and sorcery for fast-paced, high-flying, mechanized combat with more explosions than a Michael Bay movie. Armored Core 6 is a lot of fun, but it is a FromSoft game after all, so every moment of fun comes with its own fair share of frustration. In this video, I've got some simple tips that I hope will help make this all a bit easier for you. Or at the very least, give you a kickstart when it comes to learning the mechanics and developing your own strategies to become a more effective AC pilot. First up, let's get straight into it with my first piece of advice that I gave to all my friends after I played for a few hours, and that is to upgrade your generator and your thruster as soon as you get the part shop unlocked. Your starter generator and thrusters are really not very good at anything, and the first upgrades for these parts are inexpensive and they unlock as soon as you get the part shop. After the first few missions, you should definitely have enough cash to buy these, and it will help a lot with letting you move and dodge faster and stay in the air for a bit longer to avoid ground-based attacks. On that note, tip number 2 is to focus on fighting from up in the air as much as you can. Non-homing attacks like rockets, bullets, and grenades have a much harder time hitting you when you're flying, and you can avoid a lot of the AoE from explosions by staying up in the air. Having the height advantage also makes it easier for you to hit your own shots against any basic mechs, especially with indirect fire weapons like grenade launchers, and some mechs actually take more damage when you shoot from the top as well. Being up high makes it easier for missiles that you shoot to track targets and avoid cover because you're firing from the air, and you can decide to boost away and reposition at any time when you're flying. There are some attacks from bosses that are easier to avoid on the ground, and you don't want to just hover in place while you're up in the air. But if you try and use height to your advantage and learn to tap your thrusters to stay up for longer, many fights can become a lot easier. Speaking of thrusters, the assault boost is a key technique in Armored Core 6, and while it is quite useful for evading enemy attacks, it's also a strong offensive tool, allowing you to close the distance between you and an enemy very quickly, making it incredibly useful for melee attacks. And in case you didn't realize this, you can fire with every single one of your weapons while you are assault boosting, and your hits will actually deal more impact damage to your target when you're moving at maximum speed. Some weapons will pause you while you're boosting, like large bazookas and grenade launchers, but most weapons and melee weapons can be used while you're boosting. This is not only useful to help build up the stagger gauge, but it's incredibly cinematic. I don't think I'll ever get tired of boosting towards an enemy while holding down my chain gun trigger and then finishing them off with a well-timed sword attack. Now we've talked about the power of flying and the assault boost, but if you want to make proper use of your mech's mobility, you're going to need to balance the weight and energy consumption of your build so you aren't slowing yourself down and overworking your thrusters just to get a little lift. On your stats page, there's 2 bars that show your available resources for load and energy load. Load is the total weight of your mech, and EN load is the total energy usage of all the parts on your mech. Weight carrying is improved by getting upgraded legs and arms, while EN capacity is improved by getting better generators. To understand how you read these stat bars, it is pretty simple. The colored portion of the bar is your current total load or energy usage. This is how much you have from all the parts on your mech. The white line further up on the bar indicates your total allowable load or energy usage from your legs and generator. You won't suffer any critical effects until you pass this threshold indicated by the line. However, you will benefit from keeping your load and energy usage below that threshold. The lighter you are in comparison to the total weight you can carry, the faster you will move and the more upward lift you will get from your thrusters when you're trying to fly. The more energy you have left over compared to what your generator can output, the faster your energy bar will recharge when you deplete it or stop to recharge it. There's nothing wrong with making a heavy mech or maxing out your generator for energy weapons, but if you want to be more mobile, try lowering your weight and your energy usage and you should notice a pretty immediate difference. Speaking of the overcomplicated stats menu, you can actually make it even more overwhelming by hitting the toggle display button while looking at mech parts. However, you can make this all a little easier to understand by hitting the help button and then selecting the contextual help option. By doing this, you can now scroll through this entire stat screen and get a helpful little tooltip about what each and every stat means. This should help you get a bit of a grasp on what different stats do for you and what you might want to prioritize for your strategy. The next tip I have for you is a pretty simple one, but it can have a big impact on the combat performance of your AC. There's a module called the FCS, or Fire Control System, and it basically determines how good your mech is at targeting with its weapons. There are several different stats on these modules, but the ones that you really care about are the close, medium, and long range assist, and the missile correction and multi-lock correction. You want to pick an FCS that works well with the weapons and combat style that you prefer. Close range assist is most useful for fast close range combat, so you don't want high close range assist on an AC that is sitting back and sniping with a laser cannon. If you're using a lot of missiles, consider trying an FCS that specializes in missile correction and multi-lock. But if you're not using any missiles, then don't waste your FCS slot on something that is meant for missile lock. You will notice a big difference in how accurate and effective your shots are if you pick the right FCS module for your strategy. So think about how you're playing the game and pick the one that is best for you out of the part shop. And speaking of the part shop, if you haven't noticed already, you can sell any parts back to the shop for the same price that you paid for them, meaning you literally never lose money from trying out new parts and messing with your build. This makes it very easy to try out anything you want, and you suffer no punishment for buying things just to see how they work. And on that note, I highly recommend that you set up a few different loadouts for your AC in the garage, with slightly different weapons and equipment for use in different missions and boss fights. You can save up to 40 different presets in your AC data, which can be swapped between for any mission, and in fact you can actually swap between mechs during a mission if you die and have to restart at a checkpoint. By setting up a few different loadouts, you can swap between them if you find you need something different in a boss fight or for a certain objective, and it'll save you a lot of time swapping out single parts every time you need something different. For tip number 9, once you get to a certain point in chapter 1, you'll be able to participate in arena matches, which reward you with cash and with special chips that you can use to upgrade your AC in unique ways. Don't be intimidated by the arena. It's not PvP, and the first tier of opponents you unlock are quite easy to take out, and you can use the rewards to unlock special features for your mech that will be very helpful in taking down the first few bosses. And on that same note, you actually get full rewards from replaying missions that you've already completed, which gives you a chance to practice and test out mech parts while actually earning some good money that you can use to buy more stuff and have more options at your disposal. Plus, replaying old missions lets you look for the hidden chests scattered around the world that can actually have some pretty powerful AC parts hidden inside them. Well, that pretty much covers it for these 10 basic tips to help you figure out Armored Core 6. I really hope you find them helpful, and let me know what you think down in the comments. What kind of AC are you running, and what's your favorite part about the game so far? Thanks for checking out the video. I've got links to my Twitch stream and Discord server down below for anyone interested. And until next time, stay safe out there, everyone.